What's up, guys? James Carter TV here, continuing my 2016 NFL Draft recaps, and today we are moving on to the Pittsburgh Steelers. Excuse me for that. A team that hasn't, to be quite honest, hasn't really drafted that well over the past number of years. I mean, you have a couple hits, like a Martavis Bryant, like a Le'Veon Bell, like a Marcus Wheaton, but you wish they could get some more Pro Bowl players, right? I mean, outside of Ben Roethlisberger, Antonio Brown, Marquise Pouncey when he's healthy, which isn't very often, and I mean, again, Le'Veon Bell, Antonio Brown. I mean, there's not many Pro Bowlers on this team, specifically defensively. They haven't been able to draft Pro Bowlers. Jarvis Jones is a nice player. Also Ryan Shazier is a nice player. But they haven't been able to get Pro Bowl players on defense, which I believe is really holding this team back from being a Super Bowl champion, because they're definitely a playoff contender. I mean, they are a perennial playoff contender. Each year, you can bet that the Steelers will be in the playoff mix. But when it comes to actually winning a Super Bowl, they haven't had those Pro Bowl players defensively because they don't sign anybody in free agency, which is fine, but they don't draft any great players, Pro Bowl type players. Hopefully, though, things can change here, because they took a lot of defensive players in this draft. We'll see whether or not they work out, and let's start with their first round pick. 25th pick overall, Artie Burns out of Miami. But really, this pick should have been William Jackson III out of Houston. But the pick before this very pick, the Cincinnati Bengals took William Jackson III, left the Steelers panicking. They took Artie Burns out of Miami. There's a huge need at cornerback for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Their cornerbacks have been bad for years now. It's even looking like it could be even worse because they lost their bad players, but their best players on the secondary, like Antoine Blake. I'm not sure if they re-signed some of their other free agent corners, or they're still out there, or whatever's going on there. So there are issues at cornerback. They needed a cornerback. Yes, I give you this. But Artie Burns is a reach at 25. He's not a first-round player. I'm not even convinced he's a second-round player, to be quite honest with you. A guy that really is relying on his athleticism, his measurables to some extent, but he's not really that good of a player on the football field to warrant a first-round pick. Has some issues in terms of covering wide receivers, sticking with wide receivers, a little bit too aggressive at times, picked up some penalties on the Miami backfield, has some issue that he really needs to clean it up. Now, if you can coach him up well and turn him into a good cornerback, then we may look back and we may say, okay, this is actually a good pick for the Pittsburgh Steelers. But for right now, I like the idea. If their need was there, you get a B-, but man, I think it was a reach. All right, next we move on to Sean Davis, the second-round pick, 58th pick overall. Sean Davis out of Maryland, the defensive back, a guy that played outside cornerback his final year in college, but really he was miscast. I mean, this guy is a safety, and I believe a strong safety at the NFL level. A guy that you hope can come in and replace Shamarko Thomas, who is scheduled to be the starting strong safety for the Pittsburgh Steelers. I mean, this guy's strong. I mean, I think he put up the most reps on the bench press for the defensive backs. You look at his body, he's built, he's big for a defensive back, and you know that he can lay the boom down, and he loves to do that. Now, he lacks some instincts because he's so quick and so happy to lay the boom down that sometimes he misses play action plays. Sometimes he's over aggressive at times, needs coaching, kind of like Artie Burns in that aspect. So I like the idea here. I think you may actually have a good pick out of Sean Davis, but it's only a B for me because I think Von Bell would have been a better pick here, a guy that has better instincts right now than Sean Davis. May not have the athleticism, the physicality, but definitely a better player at this juncture. I think Darian Thompson would have been a better pick. Darian Thompson out of Boise State, who went all the way to 71 to the New York Giants. I think there were better picks to be made here. That's why you only get a B. Next, we have defensive tackle in the third round, Javon Hargreave out of South Carolina State. I really like this pick. I like the pick. I like this pick the most thus far of the Steelers draft that we're talking about today. A guy out of South Carolina State that was a little unheralded, but man, did he put up some nice production over there at South Carolina State, racked up some big stats. A guy that you hope can come in and really compete for a starting job on your defensive line that is missing some pieces after free agency. A lot of guys on this year's defensive line are getting old as well, so you hope that this guy can come in, and I really think he can start maybe even from the get-go, and you can get good production out of Javon Hargreave. I really like this pick. I'd give it a B+. Next, we move on to offensive tackle, taken in the 4th round, Jerald Hawkins out of LSU. I really like this pick. I thought he was going to be a 3rd rounder, a guy that started left and right tackle. Started even out as a redshirt freshman, which is pretty hard to do at LSU considering the fact that they have such a stacked offensive line year in and year out. Long limbs, a guy that has a lot of potential physically. Again, though, one of those guys that's going to need some technique problems. I mean, he has some technique problems. He's going to need some coaching to fix those technique problems. He doesn't know how to anchor his body well. Really struggles when opposing pass rushers come at him with creative moves, like has troubles with spin moves. He can handle a good bull rush, but anytime there's a spin move or an inside rush or anything out of the ordinary, I guess, this guy struggles with that. So he needs to see more experience, needs to have some technique coaching there, and then I think you're actually going to have a really good pick here. But I give it an A- because I think this was a really good value here for the Pittsburgh Steelers late in the 4th round. Next, we move on to the 6th round pick, Travis Feeney out of Washington. We talked earlier about some of your outside linebackers. I think this guy can come into the fray and compete early for playing time. A guy that is very athletic. Ran a 4.50 at the combine. Had a nice vertical jump, 40-inch vertical jump. So very nice athlete. And he produced at Washington. So you're telling me I'm getting a really nice athlete, a guy that produced at Washington. You're going to hear all these scouts saying, well, we think he may be a little too small or he may have some issues here or there. But no, this guy produced. You know he's a really good athlete already. He did prove that at the combine and his pro day. I see him just being a baller at the next level and coming in and even in there as a rotational outside linebacker, coming in and giving these slower offensive tackles big issues and even jumping up and batting down a pass every now and then. This is my favorite pick of the 2016 draft class for the Pittsburgh Steelers. I give it another A. Actually, not even another A. This is the first A. I give it an A for this pick for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Next, we move on to the 7th round, Demarcus Ayers out of Houston. I really do not like this pick. This is a guy that's 5'9". Okay, that's fine. Well, you better be fast, and he's not. We're in a 4.66 40. So you're telling me you're giving me a guy that's 5'9", ran a 4.66 40, and he's supposed to compete on special teams? You think he's going to be able to return kicks for you? He's too small. He's too slow in order to have success at the NFL level to me. And I think that's really what it boils down to. He has some nice size for his height, I guess. But if he's that small, he won't be able to get on the field because the Steelers wide receiving core is pretty stacked already. And then you're also telling me that he can't even run very fast at all. And he's supposed to make a big impact on special teams. I'm not buying it. It's a C- for me. And then next we have inside linebacker Tyler Matakevich, or I believe I pronounced that Matakevich, yeah, out of Temple. I really like this pick. This guy can actually compete on special teams. A guy that started at Temple, was a really big leader for their defense, helped them be a really formidable defense, a really good defense during the 2015 collegiate season. And a guy that and people question whether or not he has maybe the athleticism that you look for or whatever, but I saw a guy that was moving sideline to sideline, being a nuisance for running backs, being a nuisance for quarterbacks, pretty good in coverage. I really like this pick for the Pittsburgh Steelers, and I give it an A-. So when we go back to my metric system that I've concocted, and I put all of these GPAs in, and the report card comes back, the Steelers get a 3.02 GPA out of 4, which translates to a B. It's a fine draft. I'm not sure. Again, I really think the Steelers yet again have found no Pro Bowlers here. And when we look back, and we look forward, I should say, and they're facing the Patriots in the playoffs, or they're facing the Broncos in the playoffs, and they lose yet again because none of their defensive players were able to make a freaking play. Because ever since the Troy Polamalu left this damn defense, they haven't had a great player on this damn defense that can make a damn play to win a damn football game. And I think yet again that would be the issue here with the Pittsburgh Steelers, is I don't think they found that transcendent game-changing player defensively quite yet. Until next time, James Carter TV, I'm out. Peace.